Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon. We're so glad you could join us this Friday. I'm Aja Goare. Our top story this half hour, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn now admits he lied to the FBI, which is investigating possible links between the Trump campaign and Russia. And Flynn is reportedly ready to testify he contacted the Russians at the direction of Trump transition officials. CBS's Weijia Zhang has the details.
Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn appeared in a federal court in Washington this morning to plead guilty to making false statements to the FBI. CBS News has confirmed that he is prepared to testify. Trump transition officials directed him to make contact with Russian sources. Special counsel Robert Mueller is investigating whether anyone in President Trump's campaign colluded with Russia during the 2016 election. According to court documents, Flynn did willfully and knowingly make materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statements to agents about his conversations with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak in January. In a statement, Flynn accepted full responsibility for his actions, writing in part, "I recognize that the actions I acknowledged in court today were wrong. I am working to set things right." Flynn is just the latest associate of President Trump's to be charged in the FBI's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 campaign. But he is the first one who has ever worked inside the Trump White House. Back in October, prosecutors charged Trump's former campaign chairman Paul Manafort, his deputy Rick Gates, and campaign advisor George Papadopoulos as part of the probe. The White House has repeatedly maintained neither President Trump nor anyone in his campaign have ever colluded with Russia. The president ignored requests for comment, but White House attorney Ty Cobb issued a statement saying the false statements involved mirror the false statements to White House officials, which resulted in his resignation in February of this year. Nothing about the guilty plea or the charge implicates anyone other than Mr. Flynn. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, Washington.
And Flynn was released without bond. He faces up to 5 years in prison. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is expected to meet with President Trump today amid reports the president wants him to resign. Tillerson brushed off questions this morning about whether his job is in jeopardy. CBS News, though, has learned the White House is circulating a plan that would remove Tillerson and replace him with current CIA Director Mike Pompeo. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly reportedly called Tillerson's Chief of Staff Thursday to deny the claims. But sources tell CBS Kelly signed off on Tillerson's exit strategy. Tension between Mr. Trump and his chief diplomat has been escalating. In July, Tillerson reportedly called the president a moron in front of a group of officials. And meanwhile, Senate Republicans are pushing for a final vote today on their tax reform bill. They ran into a roadblock last night over deficit concerns. A report from a nonpartisan committee shows the bill would add $1 trillion to the U.S. deficit over the next decade. Senators debated into the night, and they're back again today, reportedly making major changes to the bill. It's official. Bobby Hauck is the new head coach at the University of Montana. Director of Athletics Kent Haslam made the announcement this morning at a press conference. Hauck, the former Grizzly head coach and current San Diego State associate head coach, will become the 37th head coach at UM. This upcoming season marks Hauck's 13th year coaching college football, with 7 of them spent at UM from 2003 to 2009. Hauck left amid a tumultuous period when players were involved in violent crimes, and he was scrutinized on a national stage for freezing out the school's student newspaper. The Missoula native agreed to a 3-year contract, which will take him through the 2020 season. The city administrator for Great Falls could be packing his bags and moving to Billings after the city council tabs him for the Billings city administrator position. Greg Doyon, the current city administrator of Great Falls, was tabbed unanimously for that position this morning by the Billings City Council. He is expected to accept the job, which comes with a salary of $155,000. Doyon has served in 3 cities, spending the last 10 years in Great Falls as its manager. Staff and council called Doyon personable, articulate, and well prepared. The city will enter negotiations with Doyon immediately. A start date is yet to be determined. In other news today, on this World's AIDS Day, doctors across the U.S. want to get the word out about prevention. Here in Montana, 595 people are HIV or AIDS positive, that number by the end of 2015. Most are men, with just 15% of patients female. The most common age group across both sexes is 25 to 44. Doctors want more people at risk to start taking the drug Truvada. Nationwide, about 140,000 people are using the potentially life-saving therapy, but experts say more than 1 million people should actually be taking the drug. And as we mentioned, today is December 1st, so on that note, we turn to the weather scene with Rob Griggs. And how's December starting out for us?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're like me, you think December 1st, big, cold, super Arctic weather, snow. Yeah, that's not anything at all what the weather picture looks like across the state. In fact, I'm going to show you what it looks like out in eastern Montana. This is a shot from the ICAM in Billings, looking out toward the Beartooth Ozarka Range. Beautiful day right now, starting out in eastern Montana, 45 degrees. With southwest winds about 6 miles an hour. By the way, that's a good 5 degrees warmer than average for this time of year. A partial shot for Missoula, but I can assure you there's some sun poking through there. 35 degrees with calm winds. Across the state, you can see right there with satellite radar composite, skies are clearing up and temperatures are already at where they should be for a daytime high, and they've got a few more degrees to go. So we'll give you the complete statewide storm tracker forecast in just a little bit. Asia?
Thanks, Rob. We'll check back in. Medical marijuana providers are speaking out about possible new regulations. The Montana Department of Health and Human Services held a hearing in Helena last night on a set of proposed rules for the medical marijuana industry. Those rules outline wide-ranging labels along with security and testing requirements for providers. They would also increase the fees for many providers' licenses and endorsements. Critics say the rules ask for too much too quickly and raise concern about the impact on smaller providers. DPHHS will be accepting public comment on the issue through December 7th. The Missoula City Council is considering a ban on what it calls urban camping. The council took up the issue last night, saying people are living in recreational vehicles in city right-of-way, creating noise and other disturbances. Public safety is also a concern for the council. City staff report nearly every person caught illegally in RVs parked on the road leave voluntarily. But staff want a specific ordinance to address those who refuse to leave. The proposal creates exemptions for people visiting friends and family or staying for a special event. Council members, though, plan to work carefully so it does not criminalize the homeless. A public hearing is set for December 18th. The new owner of the historic Fortowen Ranch wants to work with Stevensville residents to resolve public access issues. But she also says solutions must be reasonable and respect private property. Aja Goare, a successful Las Vegas businesswoman, was introduced Thursday as the new owner of the 167-acre ranch. That ranch surrounds the historic Fortowen site, the first permanent white settlement in Montana territory. But the ranch's relationship with the town is strained as the present owners shut down informal public access on the Bitterroot River. Goare wants to work with locals and state agencies, but says she's a strong advocate of private property rights. Goare plans to keep the property as a working cattle ranch when she takes over January 1st. The city of Helena may soon be a little more tranquil with the new creation of a railroad quiet zone. A notice sent by city leaders to railroad authorities this week triggers a 21-day waiting period before the zone goes into effect. Federal rules require train engineers to sound horns at every public road crossing, but it's not required in a quiet zone. The Helena City Commission approved the quiet zone last year following noise complaints. To make it happen, the city spent around $600,000 on safety improvements like raised curbs at 4 different railroad crossings. Now, don't expect complete silence. Railroad engineers can sound their horns if they believe there's a safety issue. Still ahead on the new news, a state of emergency in upstate New York after one man tries to reenact what he saw on TV. Details about the blaze when we come back. But first, Rob has our weather forecast. Stay tuned.
You're watching MTN News with Aja Goare, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and Farm and